A bird flew into our house today and I had to get it out. And I was noticing, why am I so nervous? It's just a bird. And my son like got a lacrosse stick because it has like a nice net. And I was just trying to like encourage it away from the window because it was hitting the window. And I was like, go to the door, little bird, and fly away. I wanted to keep it happy. And not scare it. I didn't do anything violent with the lacrosse stick, I promise. And I just noticed, like, it's a bird. I literally see birds all the time, and it's just the fact that it's in my house that is spooking me out, okay? And I think that that's the same feeling when people see a scale. They go, oh, I'm used to one sharp, and now there's two. It's not, it's just a different placement. It's just, you're just moving your hand, and it's in an unfamiliar situation. If I had a bird in my house every day, I think I would get used to it. That's why people have pet birds. Why do you need to practice scales? When do you practice scales? Why do you have to practice scales in all 12 keys? That's what came up because I made a course called The Scales Solution. I'll link to it below. It also has a free download where you get all the scale fingerings and my fun way of remembering that really quickly so you don't have to buy a scales book. Don't buy a scales book. This question came up from a bunch of people that were in the course and they asked, why should I practice a scale in a key that I'm unlikely to play a piece in? That got me thinking. That really got me thinking. First of all, I don't like the way you're thinking about it. I don't like the question. But let's get into this a little bit. I'm gonna read something that one of my members brought up. Wouldn't it be better to thoroughly learn the scales such as C, G, F and only learn the scales for keys for when, if I ever get to learn and play pieces in D, E, B, F sharp, etc. Okay. Now, this was telling to me because what I heard was, let me practice C, which has no black keys. Let me practice G, which has one black key. And let me practice F, which has also one black key. This is essentially the same scale. C, G, and F. And I'm gonna venture and say C, G, F, D, and A, and E are all kind of the same scale. We're talking about adding one black key at a time. And so what this tells me, and this is why I don't like the question, is because it's coming from a space of unfamiliarity. And once you're familiar with these just 12 things, they're just 12 patterns that you're going to think through ad nauseum. Not ad nauseum, because you never become nauseous of it. You never actually get sick of thinking in major scales because they're just so dang useful to you in various scenarios. I tried to use this analogy once with a class. I was teaching a piano class, and I was like, it's like when you go to a restaurant. When you go to a restaurant, even if it's unfamiliar to you, you would expect to find the same things there. There's going to be someone who seats you. There's going to be a menu. There's probably a way to find the bathroom. You ask the waiter, which way is the restroom? And they point you to it. You ask, do you have Coke products or Pepsi products? You would expect one or the other. No matter what scale you're in, if I'm practicing in C, I go, okay, well, there's going to be a 1 chord, a 4 chord, a 5 chord. There's going to be a leading tone. Okay. When I go to F sharp major, even though it has 6 sharps, I expect to find all of the same things there. There's a 1 chord, there's a 4 chord, there's a 5 chord, there's a leading tone. Where's the bathroom? What's on the menu? All of these things are going to be familiar in all of the different keys. It's one of the beauties of this instrument, and it's actually kind of like why the keyboard looks like it does. I'm going to look at C, G, and F. And when you look at these scales, first of all, if starting on C and going through the circle of fifths, C, G, D, A, E, B, going like that, you'll notice as you go right on the circle of fifths. So C, G, D, A, and E, they all have the same fingerings. It's identical. So C, G, D, A, E, all 5 of those, they look very familiar, very similar to the hand. The hand's relationship to those scales is the same dang thing. So don't get freaked out like, where do I put my fingers? Those 5 scales, that's almost half of the scales. It's the same hand relationship to the keyboard. And all you're doing is adding a little black key. And I'm sorry to tease about this, but I see so many people get like, what? I'm trying to talk you out of being anxious about this. It's just a black key. You can do it. I promise. I promise it's not hard. Just put your finger on a black key, okay? So we're talking about C, G, D, A, E. Those are the same scale. And we're really just saying, okay, what's the pattern of black keys? So far we have 1 scale and we've covered 5 keys. B major, and I do this in another video too, where I talk about always remember your fingerings. B major is the teacher. Because you remember there's 2 fingers here and 3 fingers here. 2 fingers here and 3 fingers here. Now B major, F sharp major, 3 fingers here and 2 fingers here. C sharp major, 2 fingers here and 3 fingers here. So B, F sharp, and C sharp are all the same scale. What was different was which of these white keys I used. So yeah, you got to remember a little bit of that. I had one student who said, I always just remember F sharp's the greedy one because the white key is closest to that. F sharp is there. I don't know why that was like stuck in my mind or his. So we've covered C, G, D, A, E. That's 5 scales, which is really just 1. B, F sharp, C sharp. That's 3 more, which is 1 more. 1 more scale. So we've got 2 scales so far. Now let's go back to F for a second. When you play F, the pattern with it is different from C. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, which is opposite of C, G, D, A, E, and E. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and you'll notice like these 3 fingers here, and then mostly it's just like, so this one feels more like B flat major. And it feels very similar to E flat major. And it feels very similar to A flat major. So when you know that there's basically just 3 scales, there's like C through E, B, F sharp, C sharp, and then the flat keys. There's 4 of them. F, B flat, E flat, A flat. They're all the same. They're all just the same scale. It's the same relationship for the hand on the keyboard. So when you see that, let that simplify it for you. Let that simplify it for you. If you'd like to have the PDF where I have all of the scale fingerings for you in a fun way, and if you want to check out the Scale Solution course in a fun way, that's great. If you don't want to practice scales and still get better at piano, practice the pieces that I pick out in Measure by Measure. They are the best pieces for learning how to play this instrument. I promise. There's so much gold in them. They're pieces that I picked out. So, bye.